So understanding passion is not enough, though. And an example of that is I could love the game of basketball, and I do.
Yeah.
It's my favorite sport. It's my favorite sport growing up. I love it. But at some point, my passion for the game was not enough because I was 5'9" and could barely jump over a piece of paper. So I could have all the passion in the world. I'm not making it to the next level beyond high
That's
school.
right.
Discussions in this show are for entertainment and educational purposes only and should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and SmartPro Financial are not affiliated.
So we've been anticipating this conversation for quite some time because our next guest is not only a best-selling author, public speaker, he's a co-host of The Ramsey Show, the host of Front Row Seat, but I would guess probably have spoken to more Ramsey fans than anyone outside of the name Dave. And so we are so pumped to have you speaking to our audience today. Welcome to the show, Ken Coleman.
Oh, thank you. So glad to be with you.
So I want to bracket our conversation around something that you're a subject expert at, which is work, money, and leadership. But before we dive into that, I want to comment on something that you said probably 4 years ago in an interview. And I was listening to it, and it's one of those things that kept coming up in conversations, and I would see it in places. And so it stuck with me. And actually recently at church, they were talking about heaven, and they're talking about the garden and, God walking with man and what was done, in the garden and kind of what that could look like in heaven one day. And the conversations around work, like Adam worked, he's naming the animals. He, was out there tending to the garden. And in your comment, you said people were created, use the word created, to contribute. And that example, he was contributing to the environment you're in, so that like ancient wisdom and down to your comment, all still there, that thread going through it. I was thinking, created to actually contribute. Mm-hmm. What does that mean for so many people out there that right now that feel like I'm just clocking in 9 to 5. I don't feel like I'm contributing to the environment I'm at. Maybe I'm miserable in the environment I'm at. How can I contribute to this?
Yeah, it simply means that the work that we do is an opportunity to make the world a better place. Mm. And ultimately in Genesis, when Adam and Eve are sent out to subdue the earth, other translations that means to go create. Yeah. And I think many times we allow the word create to be attached to something that is considered creative, like art or music or writing, something along those lines. When in all reality, if I do something that is a physical manifestation, so I nailed enough wood together, screw enough wood together that I create stability in a house, or I might create a cabinet. Okay. Yeah. So the idea of any type of work that produces a result, you could take the word produced out and say, I created a result. Mm-hmm. You could look at it this way. I created a solution.
That's right.
So that's why I use the word contribute, because to contribute means that I am joining in. I am giving something. Mm-hmm. And, because you think of many times the word contribution is tied to a financial gift.
That's right.
So if you had a fundraiser, make your contribution. Okay. That means you're giving your money. And so to contribute, created to contribute means to see yourself as a contributor. I have something to give. and thus I should give it away.
Mm-hmm. If we look into your latest work, Find the Work You're Wired to Do, right at the beginning, you have some statistics that jump out. So it was Gallup statistics that are there, and you talk about, it says a majority, 59% of employees said they're not engaged at work. 18% say they're actively disengaged. I don't even quite know what that means. It almost sounds like subversive in what they're doing at work. Like,
yeah, well, that actually just means that they are not doing their job.
Yeah. Well, they're definitely not contributing.
100%. 100%. The difference in that data is the 68, 69% that are disengaged, that are not engaged. It means that they're doing their job, but they're just doing the bare minimum to stay productive and stay employed. Those that are actively disengaged, that's where they're literally mailing it in. So that's the distinction.
So 20% says they're engaged. 20% are probably in that that zone where they're contributing to their environment. They feel like their work matters. They're enjoying what they do. That means the vast majority, 80%, aren't real happy with it. So your work here is obviously very needed. Can you explain to the audience really where the idea of this book, and then also just what you found in it that it can be helpful for our listeners?
Well, that most people aren't ever taught that they have those three unique wires that we unveil in the book. It's part of the Get Clear career assessment. The three wires are talent. That's what I do best. Passion. That's work or a role, a task that I enjoy. And then finally, the third wire is the missional wire, and that is related to the results that motivate me. So that's a connection between work results and values. And that becomes missional. In other words, I say, I am happy, I am satisfied, I am pleased. I derive meaning from these results that I am putting into the world.
That's right.
And so the reality is that we don't teach young people this. The education system is all about memorization and regurgitation. In other words, we teach kids how to take tests.
Yeah.
What we aren't teaching kids how to do is be pathfinders. So we're creating test takers, not pathfinders. That's where this breaks down in society. And as a whole, I'm not saying that some parents, some teachers don't do this, but I'm saying as a whole, we aren't producing young adults who come out of high school and can make an informed decision about what education, what kind of training they need to do the thing that they know that they want to do. We're not teaching kids this. It's just do well in school so you can get into a good college, get a good degree, and hope we get a good job. No wonder we are producing anxious young adults, because it's just one big lottery ticket and they hope they scratch the right one.
It's interesting too, going back to younger generation, is obviously we look at the data. The data says the vast majority of people are going to do what you just described. I'm going to go out, I get a job, I'm doing something that I maybe didn't even anticipate doing. I have to stick with it because everything else that life's going to bring at me, I feel like there's no way to change. I really don't know what I'm even getting into. It's who's going to, offer me a position of where I'm applying. And then at the end of the day, there's no mission. And we know that a lot of times right now, younger generation, especially Gen Z, they're missional. They want to do something that matters. And it seems like it's no one's given them that path of how do I find that? And so as I was read through your book and your other books, there's that common thread of it. Of, hey, you got to do something that matters. You got to contribute. And I think that that looking at the information here, you can really find that, but you have to identify a few other things. And one of them that you mentioned, one of the wires that you mentioned, is passion. And the reason I want to stop there for a minute is because I want you to dig into that. Passion is one of those words that I think can get thrown around kind of like in the leadership space, like balance. You'll have some people say, hey, you have work balance and life balance. And other people are like, that doesn't even exist. What are you talking about? Same with passion, follow your passion. And then other people say, that's the worst idea you could have. So can you break that down for a minute? That somebody might have heard that and said, I don't even know what I'm passionate about. Like I've been in a miserable job for 10 years. Who cares? I have to just pay my mortgage, and make sure my kids are taken care of. It's not about me and what I want. How do you reframe that?
Well, we start with defining the word. So the root word of passion means to suffer. And in our modern lexicon, passion is usually related to romance, love, or anger, right?
Yeah.
And the actual root word, again, means to suffer. So when Mel Gibson came out with the blockbuster film about Jesus years ago, he named it The Passion of the Christ.
Yeah.
And he names it that because he's now making a movie about Jesus who dies for the world. That's tremendous suffering, but he has a passion for the world, right?
Yeah.
John 3:16. So to understand that the real meaning of the word passion means to suffer is to then be able to go, okay, I see why passion for my work matters, because I am willing to suffer in order to do it. Now, that tells us, okay, there's a deep love here. And that will sustain us through failure, through rejection, through waiting. I'm just naming three things that's going to hit everybody in their professional life if they long for success. And so it is passion that keeps us in the game. Passion is a cousin to grit. There is no grit minus passion.
Yeah.
Grit is a outflow of passion. It's not completely reliant on passion, but passion plays into grit. So a person is willing to suffer because they go, I love my family. So I will go work 3 or 4 jobs. We see this with single moms. They're the greatest example of this, heroes. And some deadbeat guy leaves them, and they're on their own to take care of their precious little ones. And they work themselves to the bone. That, my friends, is passion.
Yeah.
So understanding passion is not enough, though. And an example of that is I could love the game of basketball, and I do.
Yeah.
It's my favorite sport. It's my favorite sport growing up. I love it. But at some point, my passion for the game was not enough because I was 5'9" and could barely jump over a piece of paper. So I could have all the passion in the world. I'm not making it to the next level beyond high school.
Great.
So understanding how important it is, but how it can also misguide us.
Yeah.
If all we're focused on is passion. So that's why my methodology is use what you do best, talent, to do work you love, passion, to produce results that matter deeply to you, mission.
Yeah.
So if I use what I do best, to do what I love, to produce results that matter, now I'm on purpose.
That's right.
Now I'm doing the thing that I'm wired to do.
No, that's great. That reframing is so good, because I think a lot of times your original, thought of what people most associate passion with, it also kind of goes with this idea that it can be fickle, right? I'm passionate right now about this thing, and then it wanes and it's something else. And you see that with kids all the time, right? They're so into something and it changes. And by the time their birthday rolls around 6 months later, you're like, well, I guess we shouldn't have bought that toy because they're not into it anymore. I speak for someone great.
That's a great distinction.
Yeah.
And I would just add very briefly, that is an interest versus a passion.
Yeah. Oh,
Interests come and go. Passion is deep.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. Another thing you talk about in there, which is countercultural, and you talk about talents, and focus on the talents that you're really gifted at, that you're great at, and become even better, versus the ones that you're not fantastic at, you're not good at, you're not naturally gifted at, and trying to just be mediocre in those ones. And that makes you stand out more. And it's very different than what most people think. Right? Most people think, oh, if there's something I'm really, really bad at, I got to work to get as best as I can at it. And instead of focusing on the talents that they have, maximizing them and becoming even better. And I think that's something that a lot of people probably miss. So
yeah, because again, think about it. How often are we taught this construct? how often do we have conversations in American classrooms or American homes around this? Am I the only one that thinks it's probably not happening enough?
Yeah.
And so, to your point, if you don't understand this, then you aren't looking for it,
Yeah.
and the human mind gravitates to what it's comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you've been conditioned, sorry, I talk about how you're wired, I've explained that. But if you're conditioned to not see something or understand it or have a context for it, then you just kind of fall within the big super highway as opposed to the custom pathway for your life.
Do you find, and I know you're probably proud of all the work you put out there, but is there anything particular in this latest work that you go, this has been incredibly impactful for people?
Well, yeah, the assessment that actually comes with the book, Find the Work You're Wired to Do. The Get Clear Career Assessment is the professional output that I'm most proud of because the methodology that I'm sharing, talent plus passion plus mission equals purpose, that comes from two very personal experiences for me. Okay. One, my own professional confusion and depression in my early 30s after feeling like I was going one clear way for my whole life and then going, that's not it. What is it? So wrestling with that and what I learned and how I kind of pulled myself out of the pit of pity. Yeah. And then in my time here at Ramsey Solutions, the Ken Coleman show was completely a coaching show. Yeah. And I had the privilege to coach over 10,000 callers. And so walking through their needs and coaching them helped me pull this methodology together. So the assessment is not built on a whim. It's built on thousands and thousands of hours of reflection and participation in my own journey and in the journeys of others. So I'm very proud of it because it is not a personality profile. Yeah. It is literally going to measure those three areas. Helps you see where your talents lie, helps you see the kind of work that you look forward to when you're in the middle of it, you lose track of time. And then I think most importantly, that missional result is probably the most important result because it lets people know, here's what motivates you. So if you are in a season of life where you don't feel motivated, it's because you're spending, I guarantee it, you're spending most of your day producing results that you don't give a you-know-what about. Yep. Now, if you flip that and you spend most of your day producing results that naturally motivate you, which we will show you in the assessment, I'm going to tell you something. You're going to jump out of bed in the morning. Yeah. Because now you are waking up with anticipation.
No, I love that. I want to go back to something you said kind of a few minutes ago, talking about waiting, and there's time that you have to put into a lot of this, most people don't want to do that. They want to wait. They don't want to put in that time, that work. And there was something said at EntreLeadership in Denver by John Maxwell. And he was doing an interview towards the end of the day. He was talking about an experience that he had, and it stuck with me. And I think your story is also part of this too. And that's why I wanted to bring it up. Is he said he had a guy come to him doing a book signing. And the guy said, I loved your talk. I realized what I want to do. I want to do what you do. Meaning I want to be a speaker, a writer to John Maxwell. And John said, oh, you do? He goes, well, do you want to do what I did? Do you want to do the did? Do you want to do that part of it? All the things that no one saw before that. And I listened to your story, and you said something that just made me laugh out loud because I'm originally from Gwinnett County, Georgia. And you said, I started with this speaking, public speaker now. I've written books. I'm talking to world-class leaders, interviewing presidents, and it started at Swanee Days in Swanee, Georgia. It started running around, high school football games and calling in and giving the report. Most people don't ever see that part. They don't. And so it's, do you want to do that? And how much of this, when it comes to changing, when it comes to finding work, when it comes to, reinventing yourself for so many people, that hard work, that waiting, that your time will come, they can't do it. They don't want to do that part. And how important is that to who you can be?
Well, it's huge. It's the difference between successful people and not successful people. Successful people just don't quit.
Yeah.
They don't, well, I shouldn't say that. Successful people quit the wrong things, but successful people also don't give up. When they know that they are doing the thing that they're supposed to do, they don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've said this before on my show. If I were to take a camera crew, if you and I were to go out on the streets of Nashville this afternoon, we had a camera crew with us, and I was on a microphone, and I stopped everybody on the street. I said, hey, can I ask you 2 questions? And they said, sure. And I said, hey, if you knew that you were going to get to do your dream job, would you do whatever it takes? 10 out of 10 people would say what?
Yeah. I would think they would say yes.
And then if I said, okay, but I didn't talk to you about timeline. So you just told me that you're willing to do whatever it takes. Oh, yeah, I'd do whatever it takes. Are you willing to wait as long as it takes?
No.
What do you think the answer is there?
I would think no.
I think you're going to see a whole different percentage of yeses.
Yeah.
And that's the point.
Yeah.
When confronted with, hey, are you willing to do what it takes to get this desired outcome? Most people go, well, I'm thinking about the desired outcome. You better believe I'll do it. Are you telling me I'm going to get it? Yeah. But then you throw in the time factor and the patience.
Mm-hmm.
That's when people start to go, oh, well, how long are we talking about?
Yeah.
As long as it takes.
That's right.
That is the X factor.
Yeah.
Are you willing to live in the tension that exists between persistence and patience?
Yes.
I got to get up every day and I got to do it. And I got to get it the next day and I got to do it. And I got to keep doing it and I got to keep showing up. And I don't know when it's going to pop.
Yeah.
I don't know when the opportunity is going to present itself, but I'm going to keep showing up.
Yeah.
And there is a real tension that exists between patience and persistence that most people aren't aware of. They don't get taught. And I had a problem with it. I think we all deal with it. But the really successful people, they embrace that tension. They live in that tension. And as a result, they are not just prepared professionally with their skill.
Yeah.
When the time pops, when the opportunity shows up. But more importantly, they're prepared mentally and emotionally.
That's right.
Because they have sat in the tension. That's the game changer. And that's why when people that stick it out, when the opportunity comes, they just stinking deliver. One of my all-time favorite examples, we're coming up on football season. Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner. Everybody knows his story. If you know who Kurt Warner is, you know his story. But here's a guy who is, not highly recruited, goes to a small college in Iowa, does not make it in the NFL, and he's just hanging on for the dream. He believes he's got great talent, and he is got small kids, and he's stocking grocery shelves to help pay the bills because he's making barely anything in arena football.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets a phone call, and he's a backup quarterback, and he's the second string quarterback. And Trent Green, the starting quarterback, goes down with an ACL injury, and he steps in, and he absolutely sets the league on fire, never goes back to a backup position, and ends up in the Hall of Fame, wins a Super Bowl, MVP of the Super Bowl. This is an example of a guy who, because he sat in the tension and he didn't quit, when his opportunity came, he was absolutely ready mentally and emotionally, and being an NFL quarterback didn't eat him alive. That pressure, every 500-pound guy's trying to rip his head off, no problem. I know what it's like to stock shelves to just feed my babies.
That's right.
That's the point.
Yeah. I think that's so good because that refinement that happens, like that's who makes you who you are. That's what gives you that's such a part of the process. I heard a pastor once say that your talent can take you places that your character can't keep you.
That's correct.
That character gets built in that waiting, in that tension of going, okay, I know it's going to work, but the not knowing when is the true mystery and not giving up. So I love that. As we kind of talk about leadership, I want to know, you've been around some fantastic leaders and you lead people as well. So what does a good leader look like? What does a bad leader look like?
Boy, this is an entire podcast to paint the picture of both of those leaders. I'll start with the bad leader. What do they look like? A bad leader looks controlling. A bad leader looks uninformed. A bad leader looks angry.
Yeah.
A bad leader looks aloof. I could keep going. You've got a lot of different looks on a bad leader. And by the way, all of them are a function of a personal deficit, a personal problem.
Yeah.
A bad leader looks disorganized. There's just a lot of things there. So you could go with a lot of characteristics there. I would sum it up to say a bad leader looks like no one is following him.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you're if I pay attention to the situation, you're definitely highest up the food chart, or you're in your particular team, you've got the hierarchy. But it doesn't appear to me that anyone is following you.
Yeah.
It's like the leader who starts off taking people on an expedition on a hike, and he looks up about 20 minutes in and he can't see anybody anywhere behind
Sure.
him. Well, you're not leading anybody.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's probably the simplistic answer. Now let's flip it. A good leader looks humble. A good leader looks prepared. A good leader looks at peace. A good leader is attaching health in a healthy way to all of his team. He's so individual, or she is so individual in how he takes their leadership philosophy and applies it to the individual people in their team. They're plugged in. They're confident. They are casting vision. It's so many things. So I'm just trying to give you. Then the simple answer is, a good leader looks like a coach.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the analogy. Because a coach is instructing, a coach is correcting, a coach is encouraging, a coach is supporting, a coach is vision casting. So I think a coach, lead like a coach. I don't think it could go wrong. That might be the most simplistic leadership advice I could ever give. Lead like a good coach. Coaches.
I love that. When you're looking at finding work that you're wired to do, what if you have a bad leader?
You would start by going, can I influence my leader in a positive way? Is there enough relationship equity there, or is this leader healthy enough? Even though they're a bad leader, doesn't mean they're a bad person, by the way. So the first thing I'm going to ask myself is, in the areas where I would say they're a bad leader, is there any opportunity for me to lead up here and help them?
That probably scares people, doesn't it?
Oh, it's 100% scary, which is why I led with, is there relationship equity there?
Yeah.
And do you have enough, maturity and communication skill to kind of go in and go, hey, I've noticed that you seem stressed out on this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
This may be a bad idea, but have you thought about maybe doing this? A suggestion.
Okay.
Or I'll volunteer to take that off your plate.
Yeah.
That's the only way that can actually happen. Now, but you got to ask, and here's why. I'm leading somewhere. If you can't, or it's limited into how you can influence your leader for positive change, and you can't do it, then you have to ask yourself, can I control the controllables? And where they are being a bad leader, is that keeping me from doing my job to its best and fullest? That's a big question.
That's right.
If the answer is, yeah, this is more of a personal thing, and I can develop some tough skin, or I can develop some boundaries where maybe they're not doing anything to me, but they're just a bad leader and I can see it, But if I can still get my job done to the best of my ability, and if I put some kind of a blinders like we put on horses and I can focus on my thing and it's really not affecting me personally and it's not affecting me professionally, as long as I'm just not letting it get to me and let it become an irritant, then stay and do your thing. But if the answer is to that last question, can I still do my job well due to their bad leadership? And the answer is no, then I would begin looking.
Yeah.
Because the beginning of the end is here.
That's right.
Once we answer that question that way, we know that the time is ticking as to when we need to leave.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, it's going to end up into resentment, and that's not good for you.
No.
You lose, not them.
That's right.
Discussions in this show are for entertainment and educational purposes only and should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and SmartPro Financial are not affiliated.
I want to move into that topic of actually changing careers.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking about that, I've spoken to so many people when we guide them with their finances, and a lot of it is about their job. What do they do? What's their income? What are they trying to, what goals are we trying to hit?
Mm-hmm.
And you have two groups of people, it seems like. You have people that when they leave a job, it's because they have this desire for more. I think I can do more. I think I can contribute more. Maybe they want to go out on their own. Maybe they want to start something new. They want to change. They want to challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have other people that leave their jobs because they just hate it. They're miserable. And they finally had enough of that welled up in them where that disgust of what they do has to change. Something's got to give. Some people just sit in that forever, right? And they're generally miserable. But when people actually want to make a change, it seems like one of these two things are at play. What do you think in your coaching motivates people more? Is it the desire for better? Is it the desire that they can do more, that belief? Or is it, man, I just got to get out at all cost?
I don't know that I can give you any kind of numbers, but my gut says that the primary of the two, I don't think it's 50-50. I think it's probably a desire for more is why people quit. But I don't have any kind of data on that one. It's a really good question, but just my own memory of coaching 10,000 plus people, I'm looking at it and I'm going, I think it's probably 70-30, just kind of giving you a ballpark. Because they want more, right? They want more money.
Yeah.
They want more challenge, more opportunity to have influence, to test themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They want the freedom that comes with more money and a little bit more responsibility. So that's a natural, every human longs for progress. We're creatures of progress. So I think it's probably that. And because just from the data says that, the Gallup data that you cited at the start of the conversation would tell you that most American workers don't hate their job. So it's not I gotta get out of here. Yeah. So that data bears out. It's funny. I just kind of backed my way into that answer. Yeah. So my 70-30 guess is not a guess. It's based on that data. It's That's all right. Up in here. And remember this, people leave leaders, not companies.
Yeah.
And this is an important distinction. Now, that does not mean, if we've got leaders listening to this right now, I don't want you to immediately get defensive and go, oh, easy, Coleman, you're off your rocker here. We know from the data that this is true. People leave because of their leader, not because of the company. Even though it may be the company culture and the policy that has a leader kind of hemmed in, sure. People personalize it to their leader. Now, here's the key distinction. It doesn't mean that people leave you, leaders, because you did something to them. It might be, and I think it's primarily this, people leave you because you didn't do something for them.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's not like you've done something horrible or bad or whatever. It's that you didn't do enough for them.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't see them enough. You didn't hear them enough. You didn't invest in them enough. You didn't believe in them enough. I mean, right or wrong, those are the key reasons why people leave. They go, I have no future here.
Yeah.
Or my future here is not as good as I believe my future could be somewhere else.
That's right.
That's what it really boils down to. And you, the leader, are held responsible for that choice, whether you like it or not. Welcome to leadership.
Yeah, that's so good. Another way I want to ask this from our experience of working with people on their retirement plans, and you've talked to thousands of people going through money issues and going into retirement and investing over the years. So I think your expertise will come in handy here for sure. When we talk to people and they're getting their plan for retirement, you get certain people that you say, well, when do you think you'd want to retire? You build a target around that. And they'll say, well, I could work for another 5 years. I love what I do. I'll stay here until they ask me to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And what that does is it builds in so much margin. It allows money to stay, in the market. It allows people to have a sense of comfort and build out a plan. You have other people, you ask them, well, when would you like to retire? I would have retired yesterday. I can't wait to get out of here. I want to be done. They tend to be people that retire too early. They push the envelope. They have no margin. But ultimately, when they do retire, they generally have no plan because they're running from something they hate instead of running into something they're excited about. And then they don't know how to contribute anymore. And we find a lot of people that go into retirement that way aren't happy. They're not satisfied. Their new way of contributing is being informed by just watching in the news all the time or just being grumpy about the surroundings and what's going on instead of being joyful about this new opportunity they have in life where they can do something they truly want to do. Can you speak to those, at least to that second one, of people that are going into retirement? How do they continue to contribute? How can they actually do that in a way where maybe they have felt like they haven't contributed for the last 20 years in their workplace? They just ran from it and not into something that they're really excited about because they don't know what's next.
Yeah, I would write down this question. How can I use what I do best to do something I enjoy to produce a result that matters to me?
Yeah.
That's the purpose statement that I've been talking about that we generate for people in the Get Clear assessment. But simply enough, a person in retirement, we know from the data that it's not healthy to just stop work altogether.
That's
so
right.
While you may not have to work 40 hours a week in the certain career field that you were in, the question is, how can I, or you could say, where can I?
Yeah.
How or where, and that'll open your mind up to possibilities, to use what I do best, to do something I enjoy, to produce results that I care about. And that you may do that on a volunteer basis. You may do that in a part-time basis. But that is going to give you terrific meaning in retirement. And you're going to be healthier as a result.
Yeah. No, that's great. I want to give you a few things here that we see, and you probably see this all the time, of what inhibits people from actually making a change in their career, doing something different. There's a few of them I want to throw out there, and I want you to just pick what you think stands out to you. Fear of the unknown, job security, financial implications, loyalty to their employer, skills mismatch at a new career, new job, fear and regret, impact on relationships, and fear of what people may think. What do those stand out to you?
The fears, and I would add a couple to it. So everything you mentioned falls within these buckets. The fear of the unknown is what you mentioned first. That's why change is so scary.
Yeah.
Fear of rejection is right up there with it. Those are probably the top two fears.
Yeah.
I don't want to put myself out there and somebody say they don't like me. It's why when we were little kids and we wrote those notes in elementary school, do you like me? Yes, no, or maybe, with the little checkbox, and we were clinging on to the maybe.
That's right.
It's like, why did the maybe box make it to that note? We're elementary school kids.
That's right.
Our parents didn't pull us aside and go, now listen, the cute little girl in class, you want to write her this note, and you want to put a yes box, you want to put a no box, and you want to throw a maybe in there. Our parents never taught us that. Where does that come from? That comes from the innate human fear of being rejected. So yes, woohoo, no, devastating. So let's throw in one more option. Let's throw the maybe out.
Yeah.
Because the maybe is better than the no. And that's our fear of rejection. So fear of the unknown, fear of rejection, fear of failure, and what I call the fear of peers. And you said it, fear of what others might say. And that's really, you could throw that one into rejection, because if your friends question you or even come out boldly enough and criticize you, that's a form of rejection. So really, I think it's those three fears. Those are the three fears that everybody faces, and it's why most people won't make a change. We would prefer to be miserable than uncomfortable. That's what's going on with the change fear. Like, well, we'd rather just deal with misery because I know what misery looks like. But man, the unknown is so uncomfortable. And what's crazy is we're so comfortable in our misery that we will choose that. So that's the fear of the unknown. I talked about fear of rejection, and the fear of failure is again pretty straightforward. I don't want to fail financially.
Yeah.
As if I make this change and it doesn't work and I go backwards or I can't pay my bills, so those are the three biggies.
Yep. That was awesome. That was so good. Looking also right now, so CNBC put out an article a few weeks back, and they talked about credit card debt. So now we're getting into debt and finances and things that hold people back. And they said that as of right now, so the end of the second quarter, the Fed data, there's $1.2 trillion in credit card debt, average interest rate of 23.99%.
Oof.
For a reference point, 5 years ago, that number was 780 billion. So still a huge number, but massively different in the last 5 years from what it was 5 years ago. And so I look at that and I'm like, oh my goodness. And that's one of the smallest debts out there, right? Student loan debt, higher, mortgage, cars, all these. So you look at it and you go, man, that's killing people's ability to maneuver in the workplace. It's also killing people's ability just to live a good quality life for so many of them. More than half of them do not pay off their balance each month. So that whole I pay off my balance, and that's one of the first times that switched over to where the majority don't pay off their balance in the last few years. And I look at this because we talk to a lot of people that want to make a change. They one day they go, I'd love to be a financial professional. I'd love to be able to do what you guys do. And we look at their situation, and this is going to be dramatic, but it's an example that I have, and it helps me understand it. Is I feel like so many people have made themselves a jail cell they can't get out of. And that could be debt. That could be lifestyle. That could be, hey, I can't make a move because I make X amount of money and my kids are in private school and I got this mortgage and I got a Tesla, and they make themselves, they can be really comfortable with jail cells, but they can't, they don't have that freedom to maneuver in the way that you would ultimately desire, or they ultimately desire. And debt's such a burden to that. And you see it all the time, but how do people actually be able to win with money so they can win in the workplace? But ultimately, just how can they win in money and win in life?
Well, pretty simple. Live on less than you make, and you'll be able to do that if you replace need with when you replace want with need.
Yeah,
we have this weird relationship with want and need. The things we want, we turn it into needs, and that's why we talk ourselves into credit card debt. Right?
Yeah,
I really, really want this, and then that turns into I need this, and we justify it, we rationalize it. And we don't have the money for it, so we act.
Yeah.
So it's good old fashioned live on less than you make. Keep your expenses lower than your income. We start there. Just like, let's start there. There's a novel idea, which means if we decide that, then it will allow us to know the difference between want and need.
That's right. Yeah.
What we need is to keep the lights and the heat and the AC on. What we need is food.
Yeah.
What we need is gas for our car and upkeep of our car. What we need is a place to live.
Yeah.
What we need are some clothes. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And so a grasp of that would help a lot of people. So when you ask it that way, I think you have to be fundamental to go, this is a mindset. The tips and the tactics and all that can vary from thing to thing, but that's the core of what we teach at Ramsey Solutions. And Dave says God's and grandma's ways of managing money. I mean, there's not a whole lot of fancy stuff in what we teach.
Yeah. And I think some of that can even go back to that fear of fears you talked about, what people may think. What if I have to adjust my lifestyle for a different career? What if I have to sell the car? What if you have to, change the way we are perceived in our environment, in our community?
Yeah. What do I do when my teenage daughter comes home and says that all of her friends are buying Golden Goose, these stupid looking shoes that are dirty when the day you buy them? I don't get it, but they're expensive.
Yeah.
And we don't have the money in the budget.
Mm-hmm.
We can't afford those kind of shoes. What do? Do I sit my daughter down and disappoint her and also disappoint myself?
Yes.
Because I wish that I had the means to be able to buy her these favorite shoes. I mean, this is what's going on in the mind of a parent,
That's right?
And so then you go, I can't afford that. Well, I'll tell you what, this is a special situation. I don't want her to be left out with her friend group. I don't want her to have to deal with peer pressure. I don't want.
Yeah.
So I need to put those shoes on a credit card. This is the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, we've all faced that, but that's the mindset. So when we understand, when we get our values out in front of money and establish those things, then our mindset follows. But if we don't have a very clear vision and a mindset to go with it, then the emotion takes over. And when emotion takes over with money, we begin to lose with money.
That's right. So you've spoken to thousands of people co-hosting the Ramsey Show. When you're talking to somebody, when you're coaching them through their situation, they're talking about whatever it may be, but this is what you need to do to win.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any tendencies in those calls that you can pick up on as somebody that's coached so many people through that? You go, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do what we're saying.
Oh yeah, all the time.
What are they? So that our listeners are going, when I'm having these debates in my head, when I'm thinking about this with money, I'm not doing these same things that I know isn't going to win with money.
It's very simple. There's a cognitive dissonance between knowledge and belief.
Mm.
So,
that's good.
What's the best example? Okay. Are you a parent?
Yes.
Okay. So you have lived this experience, or if you haven't, you're going to shortly. The moment that every little toddler jumps into the pool for the first time.
Yeah.
Not the baby pool, the big pool.
Sure.
It's big. It's super scary to most toddlers.
Yes.
Right? And at some point, every parent's gone through this, and you're standing, a foot from the edge. Zero chance they drown.
Yeah.
Zero chance.
That's
you
right.
know it. Everybody else knows it. And you're going, come on, buddy. Come on.
Yeah.
And they're looking at it, and in their little minds, they know, they can't articulate this, but they know daddy is going to take care of me.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
They know that they feel safe most of the time with mom and dad, but they still haven't gotten to the place of belief that dad's going to actually catch them.
Yeah.
And that's why every kid doesn't. Now, some kids do, but most kids don't. Or there's a point where, there's a point in the child's age. Maybe they don't do it the first couple of times, but then next summer they just jump in like crazy. What has happened? They've gone from knowledge to belief.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yeah.
So same thing with a roller coaster. First time the kid's looking at everybody else their age come off that roller coaster and they're safe.
Yeah.
So they know that it's probably not unsafe, and they know that mom and dad aren't going to put them on a death trap.
Yeah.
But they don't believe it yet. Am I right?
Right. Yep.
So it's a really interesting relationship. There's a dissonance between knowledge and belief. And so on those calls, what we can hear in people is we have told them what to do. We've told them why they should do it. And we've given them case studies, and we've said this has worked for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And they hear it and they catch the knowledge, but here's the belief. And it's not that they don't believe it'll work, it's they don't believe it'll work for them.
That's right.
And there are some limiting beliefs that they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
So we can hear it. And the reason that it's there is because, again, either they don't believe it'll work for them, or they believe that they're in so deep that there's no way they'd ever be able to dig out of it. It's not that they don't think that our process works. They just don't believe it'll work for them, and thus we can hear it in their voice. And you'll hear Dave do this a lot. Dave will say, I know you're not going to do this, but, and he's feeling it because you can hear it on people. So that's what's going on.
Yeah. No, that's great. As we come to a conclusion here in our conversation, I did want to ask a question that I think is on a lot of people's minds right now, specifically young people. So high school, graduating high school, college, graduating college. Seems like every generation has something they have to go through. You know, whether you graduated in 2000 with the dot-com, or for me, 2009 in the middle of the financial crisis. Right now, a lot of people are going to be graduating into this new work environment that's dominated by AI. And there's already companies that are starting to reduce workforce. Two publicly traded companies this week came out and slashed their workforce in half from what they thought their needs were going to be. And so there's this change in environment. You talked about education. We go into this change in environment. How would you coach a young person right now? You say, hey, lean into entrepreneurship, lead into trades, or do you say do the same old thing and the marketplace will adapt? Is there something people can do to stand out? What is your guidance to the generation that's getting ready to walk into this new world and new workforce?
That the fundamentals will always work. I don't care how the workforce changes. I don't care what technology is doing to advance. I don't believe in theory as much as I believe in history.
Yeah.
And I was on Fox Business a month ago, and one of the questions was pertaining to this. It was, how do you think AI is going to affect the workforce? Is it going to be completely disruptive? Is it going to make jobs evaporate? Because there's all kinds of reports saying that these jobs are going to be impacted by it. And I said, well, number one, it absolutely will impact the job economy.
Yeah.
But let's go back and look at history. And earlier that morning, I had gotten on the internet and I started doing research. And I'm not, for the sake of time, I'm not going to list out multiple historical, but I'll go way back to when the printing press came out.
Okay.
Now, I want you to think about that. How revolutionary a printing press was.
Yeah.
Okay. And, it's going to change everything and it's going to wreck our world. And I can keep going through major advances in technology at the time throughout history. And the same social response that we're seeing with AI, people clutching their pearls, wringing their hands. Oh, the sky is falling. It's going to eliminate all of our jobs.
Yep.
Well, here's what happened. That was the response. And in actuality, each of those technological advances in American history did, in fact, make certain jobs obsolete.
Mm-hmm.
But in the long run, it created new jobs.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to address that first in your question. Young people need to understand not to be afraid of AI, but to be AI savvy, be able to use AI, adjust, move with culture. But understand that if you're in the economy now, your job may be impacted negatively, but as a whole, the advances in technology will continue to spin off new jobs. And understand this about AI.
That's
AI
true.
is limited by its human interaction.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, AI can only do what a human trains it to do and teaches it to do, number one. Number two, I believe that the onset of AI is actually going to create an explosion of human contact.
Yeah.
I think at some point, TikTok and Instagram and all the things are going to run its course.
Yeah.
And people are going to reject being on this thing all the time and looking at it and staring at it.
That's right.
And I think that AI is going to take us to a season. It might be bumpy. It might disconnect us a little bit more for a season, but I think it's actually going to put a premium on the human touch.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily mean a physical touch, but I mean the human connection. I think the human connection will flourish, or it will be certainly desired more than it is now. So that I wanted to address the AI thing on that. But to the young people, Thomas Jefferson said something to the effect of, on issues of style, swim with the current. On issues of principle, stand like a rock. and I'm paraphrasing. He said something very
Yeah.
similar to that. And I would say to young people, yes, be AI savvy, but what will always win are soft skills,
Yeah.
great work ethic, principled integrity.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
that's always going to set you apart. Connections, learn how to connect with people. It is connections that are the currency for progress in your professional life and in your personal life. So set yourself apart in those areas. Those are the fundamentals of winning. If you go read the book, the classic How to Win Friends and Influence People, it's as relevant today, a large part. Some of the language is old, but the principles of that book are as relevant today as they were the day it was printed. So that's my response to that. Don't the advance of technology is not something you can control, but what you can control is how you interact with people and how you show up at work and the quality of work that you provide. And that's always going to make you a winner, no matter what the workforce looks like and smells like and tastes like and all that jazz.
No, that's fantastic. In conclusion, can you just tell us how we can get the Get Clear assessment, and then also about your new show?
Yeah, so you can get the Get Clear career assessment in the book. It comes with the book, Find the Work You're Wired to Do. You can buy it on Amazon, wherever books are sold, kencoleman.com, the bookstore there. You can get that. And we also have a student version of that, which is simplified for students. Find the Work You're Wired to Do. Student edition comes with the assessment. So it's a fabulous, fabulous self-awareness tool.
Mm-hmm.
And then the new show is called Front Row Seat with Ken Coleman. You can get it on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We have an audience that engages with us live, but it's a deep dive interview. It's me diving in and digging to produce answers from really, really good people and smart people to help you do three things: to get better personally, move up professionally, and lead more effectively. So that's the approach. It's called Front Row Seat. We're giving you a front row seat to conversations you wouldn't normally get a chance to sit in on, and YouTube and podcasts, wherever you want to engage.
That show is fantastic, by the way.
Thank you.
It's so those conversations. That's definitely a skill set that you have when talking and doing those interviews. Thank you, Ken, so much for your time. Appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored.
Hey, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Smart Pro Radio. I really hope you enjoyed it. You're not going to want to miss our next guest. In fact, he's no stranger to the podcast. It's the CEO of Eventide, Robin John. He's here to discuss his new book, The Good Investor. You're really going to enjoy this conversation, so make sure not to miss out. In fact, subscribe because we put out a new podcast on the first Monday of every month. We'll see you then.